Hello there. My name is Alan. I'm with the Pittsburgh Art Walk, and this is our virtual art walk. I am here with Jaimie Rennie of Navy's Oddities. Is that how you pronounce it? Navy's
Nobbies?
Navies. Okay. We're here for the virtual art walk. We're having a virtual art walk since we can't have our downtown art walk on October 2nd. We are doing it a little bit safer this year for everyone involved. And we're just wanting to talk to you, Jaimie, about your setup. And we have some questions for you, and just want to hear about you. Could you go ahead and let us know about your business and what you do? Sorry, that was my ear thing.
So I use two-part epoxy resin to create handmade gaming dice, as well as jewelry, focus heavily on fandoms, nerdy culture. So geek chic is what I like to call it.
Oh, really?
I always like to wear jewelry that is nerdy in an aspect, but I don't necessarily want it to be like giant pieces that you can usually pick up in the stores. So I like to make jewelry that is both got that nerd feel to it, but also kind of fits in. If someone sees it, they'll go, oh my gosh, that's from this, if they get it. But if they don't, they'll just think it's a pretty piece of jewelry. So that's mostly what I do. The dice are probably the bigger part of the business for sure. And it is a very, I think a set takes about 5 to 8 hours depending on what I'm doing.
Wow, that's
Actually
intense.
and that's not counting the curing time. The curing time is about 19 hours per layer. So if I'm doing a set that requires 2 or 3 layers of resin in a mold, like if I have a mold and I'm layering different things, such as I do a lot of cremation ashes for pets as memorial pieces for people, then in that case, it takes even longer because in between the layers it has to sit, I have to level it out. So
That's really fascinating. So there's people. Do people want like specific colors, specific kind of designs? Do they ask for try to like get like you said you have like memorial piece dice that are obviously special to them in some way? Is there anything like really off the wall that you've ever had to like do that you can discuss on
So my poor
here?
mailman, I had teeth that someone sent me,
Oh,
and the teeth poked out of the package. And I'm actually working right now with orangutan hair. So I'm working with some hair from, I got it from someone who works with them at the zoo. And so they sent me that, and they've asked me, because they were very close with the orangutan, and currently now, when it was born, that to put it into a die for her so she has a way to keep it with her without it getting lost.
oh, that's
So
really fascinating.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. Teeth is probably one of the stranger ones. I get a lot of fur, feathers, and then, like I said, cremation ashes, whether it be, I've gotten quite a few human, which it always throws, I think, my mailman off. The first couple of times, poor guy, he was just, what do you do for a living?
How do I deal with
Because the
this?
boxes, to be shipped, cremation ashes, the boxes actually have to be marked on the outside. So, and I do it worldwide. So I've had packages come from Australia. I've just about anywhere.
So,
And that type of work is very specific. You know, I like to do something that is based off of, I put a design together that is going to remind them of their loved one, whether it be an animal or a human. So I've got over, I want to say at this point, I haven't counted in a while, but I had about 800 and some couple of months ago. I'm probably up to over 1,000 pigments that I
wow.
use.
So, what influenced you to start making dice, or like these are gaming dice per se, so they're like D20s and D6s, and those are like poly. I forgot the mathematical
Polyhedral.
words for them, polyhedral dice. So, but these are gaming dice for role-playing games, and is that what inspired you to make your art, or what inspired you to start making your art?
When I started, I just wanted to see if I could do it. It took me about a year of practice before anything came out of it that looked like it should. I started to make sets for myself because I thought it would be really cool to have some dice that were handmade. I never thought to sell it first. And then I had a lot of interest online. It was before it was really big to make them. And it just kind of exploded. My Etsy site was very small and limited. And then all of a sudden, I was just blown away by how many people were in. Yeah, I do a lot of custom with the D6s. I'll do custom images on the 6, and I'll use my Cricut, or I'll use images that I purchased somewhere or that I've made myself. Sometimes even hand painting them on under the layers. And I just was kind of floored at how many people were interested in buying them because there was something they couldn't get anywhere else. So
yeah, I think role playing kind of really blew up with the streaming aspect of gaming, and then dice can be so. If you're a role player, like I'm a role player too, they can be pretty addictive. You get to the point where you want specific dice almost for specific characters, and it can be a good problem to have.
I'm in several dice enthusiast groups, we'll say, on Facebook, and it is, I never would have thought it, but there's people out there with, entire walls just covered with dice displays. It is, wow. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sets. It blows me away every time.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I think like maybe I have too many dice, and then I see somebody else's collection and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that if they even think of a character, they start putting that palette together of what they're going to have for that character's, they've got character art and then a character palette put together of, 6 or 7, maybe even more sets. And I'm like, that's a lot of sets. You're probably never even going to play with all of those. But then you have people like Laura Bailey out in the world who have giant bags of dice that are just
bags
insane.
Of holding.
Yeah. Yes.
So do you have a favorite time to work, or do you work at a time that is good for you? Like some people work late at night or early morning. What time works for you to accomplish your work?
Well, my husband used to work overnights. So it used to, and I'm still I prefer the late night because I don't have to worry about my husband or, I have an 11-year-old son who has been home pretty much nonstop, who wants to tell me all about YouTube and all the, videos that he's watching and what he's doing over there. And yeah, late night when he's in bed and my husband has gone to bed because now he works early mornings is usually the time I get most work done. When my son's in school, my husband works it's mostly done during the day. So that'll be shifting again. But there's a lot of times I'll stay up, I'll get up, super early, like 6 or 7, and that's super early to me. And I'll work all day and then I'll take a break when, my husband or son are home. And then I'll go back to work and get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I go through spurts of insomnia, which sometimes helps with getting
this is full time for you. You are in the thick of it, making dice, being a handmade dice connoisseur.
I left my job in January of last year to do this full time because it became so I've been doing it for almost 2 years because it came a point where I was having, I had 175 orders online, but I was also working a full-time day job in Pittsburgh, and I couldn't do both and still do shows, and which, I love doing shows because that gives me a chance to get out and show people in person before they buy the product, and meet people who are into the same stuff. But yeah, it became a choose one or the other.
Do you have any dice with you that you want to show, or like examples of dice that you'd like to show or share that you've made?
Well, I do have, I've got stuff in front of me that I was kind of working on.
Okay.
So this is one of mine. It's not fully, where does the camera go? There we go.
That's a good size too. That's a good size.
This is a 30 millimeter. That's my logo on the front, the Fairy D20. And yeah, it's I'm gonna actually ink over that with a glow in the dark green, so it'll be on
Nice.
top, give it a vibrant pop.
Yeah.
Um, and
People will be wanting those
that's
Halloween dice soon.
yes, I actually have a brand new master die that I'll be molding that is going to have some specific themes for, and I'm not sure how well it'll show, and I've not shown anyone this actually. So it has in the
Oh.
master dice. Let me see if I can spin it here to show the, maybe it's got a mouse with a D20 or with a D20 shape next to it.
Ooh.
And this will be used specifically, it'll be sanded or polished down, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll use it as a master to make my molds, because I make all my own molds as well. Um,
Nice.
and then I'll use the molds to make the dice. And this one's just slightly bigger than a normal size, as you can see, but not
Nice.
much. Um, and
I
I'll
like the
be putting
bigger die for my disadvantage advantage checks.
my skull dice are really popular for those. These are some in the works.
Oh, those are
And then I put
fantastic.
R on the one instead of a one. So those get inked in red most of the time, unless people request a different color, and they're
Oh.
very popular for dungeon masters who are running a campaign.
It seems like your orders. I kind of I've been following your page for a while now. And it seems like you've gone like on like an adventure, a roller coaster, up and down. With it seems dice making is an adventure with mailing and shipping and things and.
Yes, I used to work from a very isolated space in the house, but it kind of everything was in different places. Um, and we moved, and now we're in Parsons, and I have an actual studio room, like a room that is completely nothing but for me. It's well lit. There's 3 windows. It's bright. I've got to get new curtains, but I'm having custom ones made with nerd fabric.
I
But
completely understand the need for personal space when being creative. Like
it's
the reason why I have a
amazing.
background is I'm in my kitchen dining room right now, so it's I completely understand the need for a personal space to do creative things.
Yeah, everybody wants, and with an 11-year-old son, it's what's that? What's this? And resin is not without its dangers. I actually wear a full respirator when I'm casting normally.
Mhm.
I do have a new system set up in here that I shouldn't need one. So when I video, I don't use one, but when I'm doing a live streaming process where I'll let people pick the colors we're doing and whatnot, I don't wear it, but I wear it every other time. I have nitrile gloves, which I wear, and are hard to find right now because
Mhm.
of everything with COVID. Um, and you have to be very, very careful. So I can't have my 11-year-old just coming in
Oh yeah.
and playing with that. And the same with the silicone. It's just not safe.
Yeah, that's why I don't have like a lot of painting stuff out whenever there's a lot of, because we have pets too, so it's like.
Yeah, yeah. My dog actually has his own little spot when I'm not casting and when I'm not sanding. He is in front of the window. He has his own little bed there, so he can watch the entire neighborhood because he's one of those. He has to see what's going on. Um, so yeah, I get
So
that.
what does art mean to you? It's kind of an historic question, but what is being an artist or making art mean to you?
Well, it means that every piece that you do, you put a little bit of yourself into. Um, I back what I make 100% because I feel like what I'm making is the best I can do. I wouldn't send anything else out. Um, I think um, I think anybody who does something with their hands that they feel proud of, something that they've thought up, their own work, is art. So I mean, and I've not always been into resin, but I also do pottery. I haven't in a while. It used to be my big. I actually did what is it called? An apprenticeship for pottery.
Wow.
Um, I'm a published author with my poetry, and so I've kind of gone into all sorts of different arts. But everything I've ever done and finished, I've been very proud of, and I feel like every piece of And I feel like it's the best that I could have done at the time that I was able to do it. And I think as long as you can say that, you know, that's part of what makes you, mainly what makes you an artist, is being able to say that.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with artists, like people see an artist and they know them for that specific thing that they do, but an artist goes wherever the muse takes them. So whatever speaks
Right.
to them, they're going to, whatever inspires them creatively, they're going to try to, pursue that rabbit hole as far as it'll go.
I'll have something that's a custom order, and I'll be like, well, I'm supposed to work on this, but if I'm not feeling it, I won't, because it won't come out the way it needs to. It won't come out the best way. So a lot of times it's like, okay, no, that goes on the back burner. Today we're doing this because this is what I want to do and I feel like doing. And I feel like if I push myself to do things, that takes the fun out of it, which is really what takes the art out of it. It's, you know, as long as I'm enjoying it, that's one thing. But if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're not putting that piece of you into it that you're going to be proud of it in the end.
Was there a pivotal moment in your life that you decided you wanted to be an artist or an artisan, or have you always been just a creative person, or is that an outlet for you for things?
I've always been creative. I've never really, until recently, ever been like, oh, I'm an artist. I've always had like low self-esteem and always kind of been like, oh, these people are so much better than me. If they're artists, there's no way I could be considered one as well. But I think as I've gone along and I've seen how far I've come in the time that I've pushed myself to better myself each time. I think I've learned that. And honestly, the first time I said I'm an artist is when I went to find a clean outfit that was nice, and I wanted pants, but all my pants had paint on them. And it
You're
felt,
like, well, I'm an
like,
artist.
this is like the most artist thing that could possibly be right now. And I never thought I'd get to do this full time. I always wanted it. I always, you know, there was always a part of me that wanted to work towards it, but I had this business on the side for so many years that, you know, it was like, well, it'll always be a side venture, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It pays for me to go to conventions. It pays for me to see people I want to see. And that's all it needs to do. But, you know, honestly, it's the dice that allowed me to blossom further and turn it into a full-time job. And I love it. Every minute of it is, I mean, I'm not going to say every minute is a joy. There are days and times where, you know, when you work from home, people in family tend to be like, oh, well, you have time to help with this and you can do this. And it's like,
Yeah.
you'll have to work.
Hey, could you stop that for a moment and just do this? It's like I can't just shut down the whole creative process, people.
Yeah. Well, and especially, like I said, with my ADHD, if I stop, I may not get back on and do it. Like
Right.
if someone says, hey, come do this. And, you know, having a kid in the house is a whole nother, you know, I really have to some days force myself to sit down and work. And, you know, my husband's great about coming home when he gets off at 3 and taking over the parenting so I can shut my door and
So does
work.
having a new space in a studio, is that kind of environment help you create the best, having a little space that is your own? Do you like to listen to music or sounds or podcasts while you're creating to pass the time?
Yes. First off, having the space is a dream, but I have 3 windows, so all of the natural light is absolutely amazing. I find it work best when I have a lot of natural light and it's not all that harsh yellow light or the LED
Hmm.
lights give me headaches. And I listen to a lot of, it just kind of depends on the day, but I listen to Critical Role, and a lot of lo-fi music. And it just depends on the day. A lot of 90s. And I love my boy bands. I love my Backstreet Boys. Still to this
They
day,
could
I
just
swear.
get you in the groove. I mean, they just really,
It
I've
really
got
does.
90s jams on my themes
Oh
too.
yeah, Blink 182. I love
Yeah.
Blink 182, and then of course I love Linkin Park, Evanescence. It's just whatever
Some
kind of.
Alien Ant Farm in there, you know.
I do a lot of K-pop from time to time. Like
Oh,
sometimes
there
I'm
you
just
go.
and it's I even country has its moments. So I listen to a little bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah, me too, me
Pandora's
too.
big in this house, so I'll put Pandora on and I'll be like, not this playlist today, and then I'll switch it and for hours on end, and next thing you know, it's been 6 or 7 hours, and I'm like,
I
Oh,
made
because
dice. All right.
uh,
There you go. There you go. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for this interview. I really, where can people find your work, or where's your store at, so that people can commission you to make dice for them, to come get dice, or your awesome jewelry, or whatever you're making at the time, because it seems like you're doing all the things.
I do all the things. The best place is to keep up with what I'm working on specifically at a time, and when I've got sales coming, because I do Flash Friday sales,
Hmm.
that where everything's a little bit discounted just for that afternoon. They are at 6 p.m. on Fridays, and usually the day or two before, I'll notice, or I'll mention what it is that is going to be up for sale that week. My Facebook page is always a good place to go for that, or my Instagram if you prefer Instagram. And then the Facebook page will lead you'll be able to click from there to go to my website, which is just the naevisoddities.com. And it's spelt weird, so it's the NAEVISODDITIES.com. There is an Etsy, so like if you look me up online, you see the Etsy. However, Etsy takes so much of a chunk out of my sales that everything is higher priced there. I have to add that. They take 15% of every one of my sales. So I have to pop that
Include
in
that
from,
into the pricing cost. Yeah,
yeah. So I try to
understandable.
really push people to the website because they can save money, and everything goes there before it goes on Etsy. So Etsy
Yeah.
doesn't even have the entire,
There's still people who are just so committed to Etsy, because that's like they're just their place to go to get, everything, or where they
exactly. I
find everything.
just under 2,000 followers on Etsy.
Wow.
Um, so they get updates when I list new things. So I will put things on there, but it's all stuff that hasn't already sold on the website. So I have more ready to ship stuff on the website. I have there's more, better pictures, and it's just a better site all the way together. So
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this interview. I'm just going to stop recording here, and we really appreciate you doing this interview for us at the Pittsburgh Art Walk for our virtual event. And thank you so much. We really appreciate you doing this.
of course, the art walk was the first show I ever did in person, and I got so much when I was doing it part-time, and I got so much positive feedback that I just it's what made me continue. So I mean, the art walk is a big part of why I'm able to do this full-time these days.
That was my
So
first time experience too. I wanted to have the experience of getting out in front of people to make sales, and I wanted to dip my toe in the water before I actually tried conventions. So the Art Walk is a great venue to do that with, to get to know people and make those personal sales with people, and to get their
I
feedback
agree.
firsthand.
I agree. Everybody, it was just it was a very positive experience, and it always has been. I've never had an instance where I felt like it was a bad experience. The art walk is, out of all the events I do, has always been the most positive, and most everybody that works it has always also been the most helpful. So I'm really sad we couldn't do it this year, but totally understandable, and we appreciate everybody taking everybody's health into account. So
We're gonna make 2021 like super epic. We're gonna
yeah, we're gonna
shut it
have
down.
to. I was ready to wear my wings this year, so I'm gonna have to be able to do that one of these years. Do the whole fairy get up, because that's my thing.
There you go. There you go. You're the dice fairy. The dice fairy's got to bring the dice.
Very much, very much. Yeah.